So he has these flags next to his name, and he's responding to all of this birthright citizenship stuff that we're going to get into momentarily. So he said, before birthright citizenship was an immigration issue, it was a black issue. It was a fight for our right to belong in the very country we built. This isn't just a policy shift, it's a message. So I'm confused because this man is not ADOS, FBA, Black American, African American, whatever y'all want to call it. Y'all know what I'm talking about, right? This man was not in the country when birthright citizenship was a black issue as opposed to being an immigrant issue. Yet he just said it was a fight for our right to belong in the very country we built. You did not build the United States of America. Like, what are we talking about here? Your family wasn't even here at this time, right? But I have to address this because something I've noticed a lot of is people trying to rope Black Americans into their issues, right?
Who that is?
Chesley Major. Chesley Major.
Chesley Major. Chesley Major.
Chesley Major. Chesley Major.
Peace and blessings goes out to the fam. Welcome to Chesley Major Media. I got some clips today and some video, and we're going to dive right into it. Today we're going to be covering who was birthright citizenship really intended for. Like Trump said, I think it's babies of the slaves. But let's
Thanks
get into
to this decision, we can now promptly file to proceed with numerous policies that have been wrongly enjoined on a nationwide basis. And some of the cases we're talking about would be ending birthright citizenship, which now comes to the fore. That was meant for the babies of slaves. It wasn't meant for people trying to scam the system and come into the country on a vacation. It was meant for the babies of slaves, and it's so clean and so obvious. But this lets us go there and finally win that case, because hundreds of thousands of people are pouring into our country under birthright citizenship, and it wasn't meant for that reason. It was meant for the babies of slaves.
Decision around birthright citizenship is so intriguing to me because I've studied this historically, I've taught this in government classes, and its intended purpose was to protect African Americans and the children, the babies of African Americans from the status of slavery. And now we're talking about it because of non-citizens, because of illegal immigrants, because of undocumented immigrants. Since the court case that happened yesterday with Trump v. Casa, I feel like this conversation is really heating up. It is needed. This conversation is so needed. We truly need the Supreme Court to decide who this was truly intended for. 14th Amendment's original intent was to protect formerly enslaved African Americans, to protect their children, granting them citizenship. And today we see the context of the 14th Amendment being stretched way beyond its initial context. Seen under the Biden administration, they failed miserably at protecting our borders, allowing illegal immigration to persist, crossing ports of entry, overstaying their visas. And we see that some of these illegal immigrants are having children. And in a lot of cases, these illegal immigrants who are having children in the United States are able to benefit off of government assistance. Obviously, we see that the 14th Amendment is being exploited because there's this collision of illegal activity reaping the benefits from our Constitution that was meant to protect us. And this is what we're going to see the Supreme Court decide in months to come. Does the 14th Amendment guarantee legal citizenship to children of parents with illegal status? And let's not pretend that this conversation is foreign, because globally, most of the world either one, does not grant citizenship automatically to children born of undocumented parents, or two, they may grant citizenship depending on the legality of the parent within the country. There is a precedent court case that the United States Supreme Court usually goes by, but we are long overdue. This court case happened in 1898. Basically, this court case said all children born on U.S. soil, regardless of parental status, has U.S. citizenship. But here's the catch. Won Kim Ark's parents were legal residents of the United States. They were not undocumented. But obviously in 2025, we are dealing with a completely different reality, and it's time for us to put America first.
So this is all a part of American history, and this was addressed during Reconstruction, right? Because Again, this is about African Americans, the people who were formerly enslaved here. How are we not considered citizens of this country when, one, we've been here longer than most white people? Most of their families just immigrated here in the early 1900s and stuff, right? And then also, we built this motherfucker, right? So that's what the 14th Amendment is about, okay? It was never about people coming here and having kids and they kids being considered citizens even though they themselves are not. Now, I'm not going to use the term anchor baby. I used to use that term, but you know, I'm trying not to, right? But realistically, that's what we're talking about here, right? And logically, that doesn't make sense. Like let's take America out of it, right? Why would your child be considered a citizen of a country you're not even a citizen of? So you telling me if I get pregnant, I can go fly to some random country, have my kid there, and my kid is a citizen? That doesn't make any sense, right? And the fact is, a lot of countries won't let you do that. They require that at least one of your parents be a citizen in order for you to be a citizen, right? But for some reason, y'all think that the United States should just let anybody come plop a baby out and their baby is a citizen. That doesn't make any sense. This is the reality. A lot of you all have been taking advantage of the 14th Amendment. That's the truth, right? Because the 14th Amendment was literally passed for the descendants of those who were enslaved here and unjustly not considered citizens, right? It wasn't for your ass in 2025 to come and pop a baby out and your baby just somehow is automatically a citizen even though your ass is not. Like, that doesn't make any sense, right?
Respect to the law. Oh, man. So y'all saw what went down today with the Supreme Court joint and the 14th Amendment and birthright citizenship. Man, it's shaking up the table right now. Boy, it shook up the table. For those who don't know, and even under a rock, Trump is changing the rules. He wants to change the rules about who gets to be a U.S. citizen by just being born here. See, right now, the 14th Amendment says if you're born in the U.S., you're a citizen no matter what. But Trump, he signed this executive order, I think it was 14-160, that says no. I think it says if your parents aren't legal citizens or green card holders, you don't get citizenship, even if you're born here. And before now, judges, they blocked the order nationwide, meaning you can't use that executive order anywhere. Now, what the Supreme Court just said, because we got to be very clear, people think that birthright citizenship is just thrown out altogether, but no, it's weakening birthright citizenship to a certain degree. The Supreme Court, they said from now on, lower courts can't hold back a law or policy nationwide, meaning they can block it in their own state or district, even though some of the judges who still think Trump's order might be illegal or unconstitutional, the policy, it can be used in parts of the country. So they can enforce this thing now in certain parts of the country, depending on the state. So a lot of the Democrats and immigrants, they're very nervous right now because birthright citizenship is not officially ended, but this new ruling creates a loophole. So Trump's order can now be enforced in many areas, especially in the red states. And these kids out here born to undocumented parents in those states, you might not get citizenship. No birth certificates, no social security number, none of that stuff. So this is weakening that. And it forces people to fight it in court state by state. So it creates an uphill battle for people to come in and just start anchoring themselves. You see? And, it's going to go back to the Supreme Court. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on, but this is a game changer. And the thing is, when Trump got up there today and did his speech, he said, listen, the 14th Amendment was intended for the babies of slaves. And boy, that really rocked a lot of people's boats, which is true. It was made for foundational Black Americans. See, Trump is talking lineage talk. Trump is talking that lineage talk. He's talking what we're saying. That really has a lot of the Democrats and the people on the left really ticked off. that really has them seething right now. Yeah? And the thing is, man, they shouldn't be mad. The Democrats, look, this is the pendulum swinging back, Democrats. Where's RJ and all them people? I know RJ's probably somewhere stuffing some bush meat in a little suitcase just in case he has to bounce somewhere. So, yeah, it's getting heavy. But listen, the Democrats, they're gritting their teeth right now. And the problem is this pendulum swung and hit you in the ass because Democrats, you guys have been doing this benign neglect against foundational Black Americans for so long. You've been neglecting us and we've been the ones uplifting your policies, and you guys have totally disrespected us, crapped on us. This is why we are not tripping about what's happening right now. We're not really tripping. Y'all had that benign neglect policy starting in the 70s. Talking about it, you gotta intentionally ignore the needs of Black Americans. So that's why they always talk around our issue. And then they start pushing mass immigration without any safeguards for Black labor. You know, with the 1965 Immigration Act, you know, that was championed by the Democrats. We made sure that removed racial quotas because Black folks, we wanted other Black people to come in to act as reinforcement. But what happened was they started getting folks and running a Jedi mind trick on us, getting them and pulling them to the side and putting them in job positions and other positions over us. And they didn't give us, the foundational Black Americans, any type of protections for our labor. We were already economically vulnerable after centuries of oppression. So, you know, that created a lot of job competition and, you know, that put a wrench in the game. And these democratic cities eventually became gateways for these non-FBA political machines. See, a lot of these Democrat local power areas, they were shifting into immigrant political blocs from Caribbean, Latino, African backgrounds. And many of these people started to really disrespect us openly. But all that lazy Akata talk and the Hispanics and the Asians and all of them, they all got on code against us after we elevated people. Yeah, and then they start talking like white conservatives against us in order to get their little positions. So we started getting locked out of policy decisions that our ancestors built. And this was the Democrats pushing this nonsense. And also these Democrat-funded immigration services, they started giving them all these resources while in the 70s and 80s, we slowly started to see them cutting Black programs. You know, before that, you know, in school, it was mandatory that you had to be in a band. They had all types of summer programs, free lunch programs, youth programs, baseball programs, or basketball programs. Y'all remember back in the day, they had a whole bunch of little programs for the community. That kept us out the streets. And all of a sudden, these programs and these resources started to go to these damn immigrant groups. And then all the little programs for us started to dry up. That's what the rise of hip hop was about in New York in the 70s. All the programs were gutted. They didn't have the music programs no more. They didn't have no basketball leagues no more. They didn't have nothing. So cats just start plugging up stereos in the park and rhyming and created a whole different culture based on deprivation. While some of these other groups were getting prioritized with the resources that we were supposed to get.
That's how hip-hop got started. That was the good brother Tariq speaking on the subject at hand. You gotta check him out in his new movie, Microphone Check, where he dives deep and goes into detail about that. Also check him out on his movies, Hidden Colors. They're dope. But anyways, that's all I got, guys. Let me know what you think. If you made it this far, leave a comment. Don't forget to hit the like button. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, I'd appreciate it if you did subscribe to the channel. Thanks for joining me. Peace and blessings. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.